Hello children, I welcome you all to the second part of the next contents in which we will see the remaining lessons. In this lessons, I had continued from the number 1, but in your PDF I will give like 11, 12, 13. Okay, because in the previous video I have covered up to points 1 to 10. Okay, so don't get confused. Why ma'am had started with point number 11? Because part 1 covers from 1 to 10. Okay children? Now come, let's move into the content. First one, we are going to see about capillarity. Say the word capillarity. Capillarity, it comes in the lesson pressure, force and pressure lesson. What is that capillarity? Absorption of substances. That is, the rise of a liquid in a capillary tube is called as capillarity. Okay, capillary tube is nothing but one small tube which will have a very less space for any liquid to travel through it. It is a laboratory oriented definition, but practical oriented definitions I will tell you now. Right? For example, if you have a sponge, okay, ordinary sponge which we use to rub the board and all, no. That sponge, when you pour water in it, it will absorb as much water as it can. Okay, right? There will be small holes in it, right? Even chalkers, if you take, if water is spilled out or ink is sprayed out, what we will do? We will roll on the chalkers on that. Okay, so that the ink will get absorbed by the chalkers. That passage of water, absorption of any liquid through small holes in any substance. That action is called as capillarity. Okay, right. So this is one laboratory oriented definition. Usually in lab only we will have capillary tube. Capillary tube is nothing but a tube, a glass tube in which the passage of water will be very less. Okay, right. Where and how we will use capillarity in our daily life? First one, we will use it for absorption of ink by paper or pen nib. When you are writing, when ink is spilled out, what you will do when you start to writing? What you will do? You will have your pen nib over that ink drop. That ink drop will be absorbed, no. So that nib will have a small hole. Through that hole, the ink will be absorbed. But what about your papers? When ink gets spilled on the papers, what it will do? It will get spread out. The small holes in the paper will absorb the ink. Okay, so that action is called as capillary action. Then rising of oil up to wick. For example, all the lamps what we use at home, even your puja lamps or even your kerosene lamps, some of us will use. Some of our homes we will use kerosene lamps also, ordinary lamp. Okay, there we will have a thread. Have you ever seen in Tamil we say that to be thiri, right? So from the bottom, it will take the oil in it, whether it is a lamp oil or kerosene oil, right? So it will from the bottom, it will rise to the edge of that thread. Okay, so that action is also due to capillarity. Then this example, sponge retaining water. That also I told you now. Sponge, there will be small hole in it. That small holes will absorb the water. Right? Next one is damping of walls. In winter season, you would have seen in many of our houses, the walls will be damped. Damped means what? It will be having the water layer. Water layer will be what? The water would have got spread out in the walls, right? How it is happening? The bricks we use for construction will have small holes in it. Through that small holes, the water will come out, which we can see as damping on walls. So all these examples are examples of capillarity. And one good example you can think. During summer days, we used to wear cotton dresses. People advise us to use cotton dresses. No, why? Because cotton dress will have many holes and pores. Pores means P-O-R-E-S. Okay. Through that pores, sweat will be coming out, so easily sweat can be absorbed. But whatever in other cloths like this and all, it will have not that much pores in it, so sweat will not be that much absorbed. So smell will come out of our body. That's why people advise us to wear cotton dresses, right? During mainly in summer, right? Next we are moving to surface tension. What is surface tension? See, in tap, when you open a tap, okay, sometimes the water will come by when it is tightened. When you are closing, the water will pour out drop by drop. And when you open it, that drop by drop water will come out as a continuous chain, right? So the water will flow like drop by drop also, or it will flow like a continuous structure also. That flow of continuous structure is called as behavior of stretched membrane. That is what I will tell you. Stretched membrane, right? Stretched membranes mean what? Continuously it is flowing. So that property of that any liquid which will continuously flow. It will flow like one continuous, what is that? Like one rubber band it will flow. Stretched membrane. Stretched rubber band it will flow. And sometimes it can flow by drop also. So that behavior of the liquid to behave like a continuous factor, that is called as surface tension. Okay children, now we are moving with the applications of surface tension. The first one is pouring of oil on sea. See, when fishermen go on sea during stormy weather, what they will do to prevent themselves, they pour oil on the sea water. The cans and cans of oil water will be dropped in the sea water. Right? Why they do like that? Because this oil will have surface tension less than the water. So surface tension means what I told you. It is the property of a liquid to behave like one membrane, continuous membrane, right? Here the liquid, what it is poured on the water, oil won't behave like one stretched membrane because its surface tension is less than water, right? So what it will do, it will spread out in all directions as small liquid areas. You know when we pour oil on water, it won't continuously get mixed, it will spill out. So it spreads out in different directions. So water cannot, what is that? It cannot affect the people. So it will, the sailors will prevent themselves from the stormy weather. Okay children? Next, lubricating oils. Lubricating oils, you know children, grease, like on coconut oils also they will use. What it will do, it will also have quite a less amount of surface tension. So it will do, it cannot flow, it will spread out in all the vehicle parts when we apply it. Right? So it can easily spread out. So easily lubrication can be. Lubrication, why we use children? For to avoid friction only we will use. Okay. Next one, detergent action. This when the tough stains are not removed, we will use detergent powder. No. When we soak the liquid dresses in detergent, what it will do? The water will have a surface tension, but the water cannot penetrate deep into the dirt. So what will happen when detergent is added? What will happen? The surface tension of the water will be disturbed. Okay, so then this dirt will be the water surface tension of the water cannot behave like one stretched membrane. So the detergent will break that membrane. Okay, so it will make the liquid to behave like one part by in parts. Okay, so due to that action, the dirt can be removed from the shirts or any clothes. Okay, so this is a very important application, the surface tension and capillarity. So question can be asked like this: detergent action is due to. So 4 options will be given. In that you have to select surface tension. Clear children? Now we are moving to Bernoulli's equation. Do you remember this? Right? Bernoulli's, there is a theorem. That theorem says for a liquid flowing, when a liquid flow in a tube, right? Its pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy is equal to a constant. What are the three compounds which are constant? When a liquid flow, pressure energy, kinetic energy and potential energy is equal to constant. Here by equation, pressure energy is denoted by P by rho. Rho, you remember children, how you write? Like this. Right? P by rho is pressure energy. V square by 2 is kinetic energy and 2G is potential energy. Why I have written full form here is PE stands for potential energy. So that's why I have written this in full form, pressure energy. So remember this is very quick. Equation alone enough children, no need to learn in detail. What are the contents we are doing, that alone you learn for this next examination. Okay, from this content only questions will be asked. Okay, next one, we have two sets of laws. Till this force and pressure lesson gets over. Now we are going to start with optics lesson. Right? So laws of reflection says, first I explain this diagram. Right? So this is your surface. This all you will remember. Just now in your unit test 3 you have written this. Right? So this is your surface. This ray is called as incident ray. This ray is called as reflected ray. And the bending ray is called as refracted ray. And this angle between the incident ray and the normal is called as angle of incidence. And the angle between normal and the reflected ray is called as angle of reflection. And the angle between normal and the refracted ray is called as another angle of refraction. So let us take this to be R1 and this to be R2. Right? So diagram can be given and the parts can be asked as we did in the previous test. Right? Now in this, what are the laws? The first we'll move with laws of reflection. What does it say? The incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal all lie at the same point, at the point of incidence. Shall I say it once again? The incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie at the same point. This is your first point of laws of reflection. What does the second law say? Second point say angle of incidence is equal to angle of reflection. Right? So these are the 2 points of laws of reflection. Now some of points you have to remember. This angle between the surface and the normal is 90 degree. It's a right angle, no? So this angle between the normal and the surface, wherever we take on the surface, it is 90 degree. So what about this angle? Right? This complete angle is 90 degree. This angle is R1. That is angle of reflection. So what about this angle alone? So from this entire angle, if you subtract this, you can get this, no. So this angle, when you want to take this angle is 90 degree. Right? So 90 degree minus R1 will give you this angle. Right? 90 degree minus I gives you this angle. So that this and all we have discussed in the class itself. We have taken notes also. So that point you have to remember. So questions can be asked on like this. Right children? Now coming to laws of refraction. Same the similar points but with a little change. What does the point say? The incident ray, the refracted ray. I'll explain the diagram. Okay. The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie at the same point. The incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie at the same point. This is your first point of laws of refraction. What is the second point? The ratio of. Ratio means division. Ratio of angle of incidence is equal angle of incidence and the angle of refraction is equal to a constant. Okay, so shall I repeat again? The ratio of angle of incidence and one word to be actually I missed it. The ratio of sine of, this is your sine angle. So that and all you will learn in your trigonometry in your higher classes. Now you know how to pronounce it. The ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of reflection is equal to a constant. So let's take it once again. The ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is equal to a constant. That constant we call it by a letter called mu. How do you write it? Like this one u you write, and this left hand side you extend it down. That we call it as mu. Right? So that mu, see, this is also an angle. This is also an angle. Same quantities no. So that they will get cancelled. So that's why the unit will not, that mu, the constant. How do we call that constant to be? Refractive index. Remember children? So ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is equal to refractive index of a medium. That is called as mu. Mu is a ratio of similar quantity. So this also will be in degrees, this also will be in degrees. Degrees will get cancelled. So refractive index will not have any unit. Mu similar ratio, so it does not have any unit. So I will give questions like this. So above I will give 4 choices. In that 4 choices, pick the quantity which doesn't have unit. So you have to select what is the correct mean. Like this question can be expected like this in this part. Understood children? Now we are moving to mirrors. What are the main types of mirrors we learn? Plane mirrors we learn, spherical mirrors we learn. In that I have given 3 types of mirrors here. First diagrammatically let us identify it. So this shape is called as concave mirror. Reflecting surface is towards the center. Here polished surface is towards the center. So this is concave mirror, this is convex mirror. Right? So what are the main parts we have to remember? The center point of the mirror is called as pole. P-O-L-E. And the line passing through the pole is called as principal axis. Right? And the center of the sphere in which the mirror forms a part. So like this part will form a center of a sphere, no children. That sphere's center is called as center of curvature. And this center point is called as F. That F lies between C and P. That is called as principal focus. Principal focus is a line where the light rays either it will come and meet or it will come out of that point. Converge or diverge. Okay, so that one is called as principal focus, and this distance between focus and the pole is called as focal length. That is represented by a small letter called F. And this distance completely from the center of curvature to the pole of the mirror is called as radius of curvature. All these points just a few days before I have taught you in the class. So remember all these points. Okay. Any definition can be asked in the examination. Right. So and we learned one formula relating radius of curvature and the focal length. What is it? R is equal to 2F. Radius of curvature is equal to 2 into focal length. And also how we can write this? F is equal to R by 2. F is equal to R by 2. So these two formulas remember very clearly, based on the sums can be asked in the examination, which we have done in the test also. Right? Next, we are moving to image formation. So we have written one tabular column. Do you remember children? The tabular column will explain in image formation, right? So that is what we are going to explain now for 3 types of mirror: concave mirror, convex mirror and plane mirror. So first we will move with concave mirror. What are the images formed by concave mirror? It will form mainly real and inverted image. But it will, the tabular column I am talking about. If you have your book in your hand, take it out, take the tabular column. That will give you the real and inverted image, but for last 6th position, it will give you virtual and erect image. That is what I have told you for one position only, right? Next one. And sizes, what about the sizes of the image? It will form all sizes of the image. It will start from highly diminished image, then diminished image, same size image, enlarged image and highly enlarged image. So it can, if the size of the image formed by concave mirror varies from very small size to the bigger size. Okay. Next, these are the images nature formed by concave mirror. Now we are moving to convex mirror. Convex mirror, only two types of images we formed. You can refer to the tablet column. What does it have? It will form only virtual and erect image, and then it will form only diminished image, right? So there are only two types. Very easy for us to remember, right? Next, we have to differentiate between virtual image and real image. I have explained that in the class. Virtual image means it is the image not seen on the screen. If the not on screen, I have written here. That means what? If we cannot get an image on a screen, that image is called as virtual image. And if we get an image on the screen, then it is called as real image. Clear, children? So this differentiation you need to understand very clearly, know it very well. Okay, children? Now coming to plane mirror. Plane mirror is a mirror which we use at our home. Ordinary mirror, right? So that mirror, first it will form virtual and erect image, and it will form laterally inverted image. What is that laterally inverted? Left appearing as right and right appearing as left. Remember that? Right. Next one, the image will be of same size. Whatever size of the object is, the same size only we will get the size of the image also. Okay, children. Now, so these three images, types of image formation, very clear. Very confusingly, I can ask questions. So be very clear with your answers. Okay. Now coming to sign conventions. So while making measurements in mirrors, whether it is a concave mirror or a convex mirror or a plane mirror, some adjustments, some common acceptance we have to do. So that are called as sign conventions, right? So I have done this in the class for 7th B and 7th A alone I have done, right? So, but I have to explain a little more. So now listen to it. Now we take the mirror. So this point is taken as pole, right? So this line is taken as principal axis. First, objects always must be kept at the left. That is your first point. Object must be kept at the left of the mirror. That is your first point. I have given notes on this, right? Rather than in your book, the contents in your book, I have made the points in a very simple point by points, so that you can have it. So what is the first point? Always object must be kept at the left of the mirror. Next, whatever measurements we take on the mirror, all measurements should be referenced with respect to pole. See, here I told you, no children, this point is pole. Center of curvature means the distance between, radius of curvature means it is the distance between C and P. Focal length means F and P. Like that. Whatever measurements we do in a mirror, it has to be referenced with respect to pole. That is what I have written here. All distances should be measured from pole. Right, children? So, what is the first point? Always object must be kept at left and all distances will be measured with reference to pole. Then, whatever measurements we take towards the right direction is taken as positive, left is taken as negative, upward direction measurements are taken as positive, downward measurements are taken as negative. So that is what I have written here. Right and up are positive, left and down are negative. Clear, children? Right, next. Coming to sizes. Object size is always taken as positive. Size of the object is always taken as positive. But when it comes to image, what about the height, size and magnification? height, size and magnification. So all say the quantities height, size, magnification. Now I am saying the image now. These three concepts for virtual and direct image, it is positive. What are the three concepts positive for virtual and direct image? Height, size and magnification is positive for virtual and direct image. Next, height, size and magnification for real and inverted image is negative. Okay, so this point I have discussed. So all these points very important. So many questions will come from this. So learn very well. Okay children, now moving to next topic. From this we have not discussed in the class. So I will go in a little detail in that. There is a concept called refraction which we have learned here. So this will happen in a normal surface. But if this refraction happens in a bigger area, in our atmosphere, then that is called as atmospheric refraction. Bending of light rays when it passes through atmosphere. For example, you will have not in social, right? So the earth contains so many layers, starting from troposphere, stratosphere, ionosphere, exosphere. So many layers you will learn now. So sunlight, light from the sun will travel through many layers. So these many layers will act like one medium. I told you what is medium, right? The place where the light travels is called as medium. When the light travels from different mediums from the sun to the earth, it will take a bend, right? So that's why stars appears to us like twinkling, right? Actually the stars won't twinkle, but the light from the stars, it will have own light, no stars. Light from the stars when reaching us, it has to travel through different layers. When it passes through different layers, it will undergo atmospheric refraction. That's why due to that multiple times atmospheric refraction happens over there, the star appears like twinkling. Right? Next, we are moving to dispersion. I have told you this in the class. 7 colors I brought you and prism, no, one triangular glass-like structure. That is called as prism, and in that prism, sunlight is passed through it, means it will give you out 7 Vijaya colors. I have done this activity in the class, no. But why to go there? In your ordinary CD, when you rotate near the sun, you can get 7 colors. So that process of white light, that is sunlight, getting divided into 7 constituent Vijaya colors is called as dispersion. What is that, children? Dispersion. Right? Splitting of white light into its 7 constituent colors. That process is called as dispersion. Right? That pattern of colors we are getting now, children. That pattern of 7 colors. That 7 colors together we called as spectrum. S-P-E-C-T-R-U-M. Okay, so dispersion means the process. What we get in dispersion is called as spectrum. Okay, now the last thing of your lesson, optics lesson, is optical instruments. So many 4 optical instruments we learned that, 5 we learned in that, but not in detail we are going this time. Each and every instrument for what we are using it. That is what we are going to learn now. Okay. First one, simple microscope. What is a simple microscope? I showed you in the class. Do you remember one glass or bigger glass which will magnify and show? In Tamil we say that to be Bhuda Kannadi. Right? Like our astrologists we will use it. Right? So to see the objects in a bigger way. That simple magnifying glass is called a simple microscope. Right? And if that simple microscope is designed in such a way to see very microorganisms in labs and research areas and all. No, that we call to be compound microscope to see microorganisms, whether it is virus. See, now we have a we are highly affected by one big virus, right? Sorry, small virus. That and all are researched in the laboratory using this compound microscope, but it will be in a very advanced version. Ultra microscope, that and all it is going now, right? And electron microscope, that and all we are using it nowadays, right? Now, apart from that, we have one another optical instrument called telescope. Telescope we use to see distant objects. That we, in a normal way, we call that we are having binoculars. Do you remember, children? Binoculars we can use in our daily life to see distant objects here. But very large distances from here to sun, other planets, stars, like that, and not sun, children. It is quite distant, very distant, longer distance. But to research on other planets, moon and all, stars, that and all, we use telescope to view distant objects, right? Usually astronomical objects, celestial, that are related with sky. The next one we use photographic camera. So it is a normal camera. Now we have in the digital cams we use in our phones and all, we use on our special camera. Before and all, a few years back, 10 years or 15 years back, what we use, one negative film roll we used to load inside the camera, and that film roll we will take, right, that we will wash in one liquid and then we will get one photo. Now we are having clicking, we never had all kinds of selfies and all we are taking. That camera or photo that we call to be photographic camera, that is used to capture images, just to capture it, right? Next one we have one instrument. This instrument is called as spectrometer. This instrument's picture is there in your book. Last few pages. That is called spectrometer. Right? I have told you here spectrum, no. So every substance will give, when sunlight is passed through it will give out some spectrum, right? But that order of the spectrum and that length of the spectrum will vary, right? So that spectrum will be analyzed by spectrometer. So what are the 5 instruments we have learned now? Simple microscope, compound microscope, telescope, photographic camera and spectrometer. So to view spectrum of different substances we use spectrometer. So children, so we have covered all the topics of part 2 video. So totally we have covered 20 topics. So learn all the 20 topics. Before that, complete all these topics in your notebook, and whenever it is asked, be ready to submit also. Right? So get prepared well, face the examination with full confidence. Thank you, children.